who exactly is getting replaced by AI? The the motivation for this commentary is is something I've encountered frequently online on social media, and that is some people's extreme animosity towards AI, and it is not unjustified, right? Many people legitimately have a lot to fear, and so the big question here is: are you getting replaced? Do you fear that you are getting replaced by AI? Now, just to explain the story, my personal observation a bit, I sometimes use AI images to illustrate some ideas. They're very easy to generate, using ChatGPT, Gemini, whatever. Uh, these images are easy to generate, and they really help with illustrating some concept. uh, Between brackets, sometimes I feel that I can generate really creative things by using AI, by designing and redesigning the prompt to include more elements, more styles, themes, etc. So I don't feel that this process is without its creative element. I think it is. It can be quite creative, and so I I sometimes use AI to generate images that help illustrate some points. Most of my work is related to work itself, is related to creativity, research on different creative individuals. My work on the Atlas of Worldly Wisdom has to do with creative work, with great work, quote unquote. Sometimes I write short stories and I have fun by in generating images that reflect some of the themes in these short stories, like in my collection, The Mask is the World. And for example, for the Atlas of Worldly Wisdom, I created a short application guide called The 10 Labors of Worldly Wisdom. And there, basically, I try to apply the concepts of the Atlas of Worldly Wisdom in a practical manner. And the method I chose to do that was to create images, to create 10 different personalities that you can impersonate to reflect the advice, the findings from the Atlas of Worldly Wisdom. So some of these images were generated by AI, and quite a few people, well, some people like them, some people don't. And one of the comments, so an advice in the Atlas is that sometimes you have to seek discomfort, because staying in your comfort zone for too long means you are playing the easy level and you're not advancing as good as you should. And basically, seek discomfort is intended to push you towards the zone of flow, of more productivity that Mihai Csikszentmihalyi talks about. So this zone of flow that we can talk about is where things are not very easy, but they're not very hard either, right? So not too hard, not too easy, just right. And related to this concept, I had generated an AI image, forgot what it was, and used it, and I got the same comment like tens of times, which is: says seek discomfort, uses AI. And there's another version which is: says seek discomfort and tweets. So regardless of that, I mean, who said that tweeting isn't discomfortable to me? But anyway, that's not the point. So about seek discomfort uses AI, and this comment, as I said, was repeated many times. The insinuation being that I should have sought discomfort in this particular aspect and gotten an artist and illustrator to generate the image. And I want to start from this comment. Well, other than it reflects that the person who says it probably has no experience in creating any of these things, because I work with illustrators all the time. on different projects, on images for mobile games, for mobile apps, for websites, and I know how the process goes. I know how much time it can take. Uh, when somebody does that, I'm generating an advice as part of a course, and if I have to, for each and every one of them, work with an artist and create that cycle, then I would spend like half my time on generating this auxiliary concept. So the person who says this probably has no experience in how this work goes, has no clue about the process, and this this quote unquote relates to critical versus creative thinking, right? The creator spends a lot of time creating all these things, and anybody can come and be a critic, right? Especially if they have no experience how this is done, or if they have done nothing of value themselves. But this isn't the point. The point here is that there should be, you should be able to differentiate between your core work and your auxiliary work. And this is my deeper point here. So, what is your core work? What are you, as a worker, as a knowledge worker in most of our cases, what are you creating? What unique thing you are creating? And this reflects to the original question of the discussion here, which is, are you getting replaced? So for me, if I'm creating a video course about work, about planning, about using your knowledge to achieve results, about trying to map the self management landscape into one framework, to integrate it into one framework. If this is my core work, then adding a few images is not the core work, right? It's auxiliary work that I can use to augment the first one. Similarly, if I'm sitting and writing stories, then this is my core work, the creativity in the story that integrates cultural elements, let's say, which is something I do. Generating the image itself to reflect some of these things is playful experimentation on my part, right? So I'm not justified in spending the same amount of time on some auxiliary endeavor as I would do on my core work. And this is the thing that goes into the question of, are you getting replaced? Because, you know, are you getting replaced? How do you answer that? And the question, the deeper question is how to not get replaced, right? How can you secure that your work, your personal work, is not going to be replaced by some artificial intelligence at some point in the near future? And this is very preliminary, but to my thinking, it has to do with your unique identity, with your creativity. What do you do exceptionally well, but exceptionally slash humanly well as an individual? And this basically ties to subjectively, right? So, what can you do subjectively well? And the deeper question is, does your work reflect your personality? Does your work reflect your individuality, subjectivity, as a human, as a person? Is this reflected in your work? Because with AI, frequently there is this generic inhuman element that is sometimes clear. I don't know. Again, these are not final answers. These are reflections, because this could be bridged in the future, and then we will be we'll be facing a totally different problem. Uh, to continue answering the question, how can you avoid being replaced? What do you know exceptionally well? Exceptionally well in the sense that an internet search isn't good enough to replace your knowledge. Um, how do you integrate your experiences in life? And this connects to the Atlas of Worldly Wisdom. Your great work, the things that you do exceptionally well. How do they integrate everything that is unique about you? And this takes us back to the point of, what is your core work? What is your great project? Because if you have a core work, you have an identifiable brand and direction, then you will probably need to create auxiliary content sometimes, and AI is great for that, right? It can generate 15, 20 images with different styles in a very short amount of time. And you can use those images to further explore certain things. But typically, you can allocate a bigger part of that if you can accept the generic element within the auxiliary content, right? Because your core creation, your core project, your great work already has your subjectivity and individuality in it. So when you generate these other things with the AI, and I don't know if, if I'm just the uh, justifying it to myself, not seeking discomfort in this particular aspect, but to me this seems to make sense that the big project, the course itself, the short stories, these are very individual. So when I add the image, I am expanding it. I am diving into the plurality by replicating the form that I have created, right? It's like you create a painting and then you make copies of that and you sell the copies, but on the meaning level. And this is one of the interesting challenges of of AI. These are some preliminary ideas, but if I had to take a wild guess, and if all your skill is to generate a critical line that 60 other people generated it almost word for word, seems to me that you are going to be replaced by AI sometime soon. Even if you're a graphic artist, and this is tricky because styles and themes, this is a matter of taste and they can change. Like some people will tell you AI work looks ugly. I know you're saying that now, but things change, and these things are a matter of taste. So it all relates back to some of my original questions. And again, can't reiterate this enough, I'm not sure if this is comprehensive. These are some ideas, but basically you need to look for the subjective element, the creative element, the uniquely individualistic, the uniquely subjective aspects to this work. And this typically also involves finding people who appreciate this particular work. And this is a long term project to find the people who will appreciate your work. Again, relates to the concept of can you be replaced by AI? Well, not to these people, because they see what is unique about the thing you are creating. And so the answer for them is no, right? So these are just some thoughts on being replaced by AI. I hope I will be able to refine them at some point in the future. The advances are very fast, so the best we can do is wait and see. But in the meantime, we can't just act as if nothing of all of this is happening, and put our fingers in our ears and just go blah 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 and not hear the noise, just close our own eyes and not see the progress that is happening. I mean, I use these tools a lot, and there is so much power in them that just makes me wonder about the bounds of human achievement that can be reached if we can harness all this power and put it into use as parts of our great projects, as parts of our creative endeavors, as parts of our life uh, life struggles in general.